Violet's trembling, barely holding it together. She blurts out that he looks way more like he came to kill her. Kind of rude barging in like that. Eshel doesn't even bother lying. He says it straight, yeah, he was planning to kill her. The perfect setup? Fabian and Erovian, all of them die in the monster attack. Violet reaches for something behind her, saying he's not going to get away with the consequences of a move like that. But he flicks a divine sting, knocks the item out of her hand. It burns. He tells her to calm down. He hasn't even finished explaining yet. Violet growls at him to just spit it out. What exactly was his grand plan? He steps in, cool as ever, and says, no one knows. But then he spots Alice's sword jam in the wall and asks, where's her sister? Violet smirks, says she killed her. She didn't know if Alice was working with Lunel or not, so she figured she'd play it safe and make sure she was dead. And hey, Eshel probably liked that too, didn't he? Wasn't he planning to get revenge on his sister? But Eshel says not this time. He was actually planning to change the plan. Now she's confused, shaken. He draws his sword and says she's being way too calm for someone who's been killing off every suspicious person in her circle. Smart strategy. He admits he's surprised. She's nothing like Lunel in that way. Now Violet's bluff is backfiring. She faked the whole Alice is dead line, but now realizes Eshel really doesn't care. Eshel says the whole plan was doomed from the start, so he's just going to report back to Lunel that everything failed. Violet, on edge, demands to know what he really wants from her, and Eshel calmly replies he's suggesting that she joins his plan. That gets her attention. She asks, isn't he always been on Lunel's side? But he answers that they're just business partners, nothing more. Violet sits back on the bed, arms crossed, not buying it. Says she doesn't believe that for a second. Eshel doesn't care. He tells her to believe whatever she wants. Lunel was just another piece in the bigger picture. Right away, Violet's mind is racing. She's convinced Eshel's trying to take control of her entire empire or something, and there's no way she's helping him with that. But he shuts that down. He's not interested in any empire. She presses him. So what do you want then? He answers, I don't want the eradication of evil. He says he's going to remove everything bad from this world. Violet's skeptical. Are you serious right now? He readies his sword and says, you'll find out. Only thing he knows for sure, a piece of that evil just showed up nearby. The ground starts cracking. A weird, creepy mana floods the room. It sends chills up his spine. Something primal, hungry, something he's never felt before. Suddenly, boom, one of Shan's summoning orbs comes crashing through. From a distance, a blood-red star flares in the sky. Oh yeah, our boy's going in. Shan flies in toward Big Bro, ready to throw hands. Eshel shouts, who are you? Shan answers, I'm the evil you've been looking for. And just like that, he unleashes the 8 floating piddles, blades flying in every direction. Eshel scrambles to defend, cast a barrier, and yeah, he manages to protect the blonde one. She's flung to safety, sobbing because her little princess hideout is getting obliterated. Girl, your whole castle's going to the moon. Eshel gets blasted back. She asks if he's okay. He tells her to get out of there. He's still under attack. Another blood-red bomb comes flying toward him. She activates her Askelin skill, slashes the blast in half. It splits clean through and wipes out the area around it. But Shan's not done. He teleports out of thin air and strikes again. And this time, he lands it. A blind spot. But no good. Eshel's got this broken barrier that nothing seems to pierce. Shan realizes it. There's no opening. He gets knocked back hard. Eshel stares at him and thinks, whoever this is, he's not normal. But he's confident. In the end, he'll win. And there's Violet, looking way too flushed, way too excited. Like she thinks she's the main heroine now. Then Cyan turns to Karim and asks, what's wrong? And she winces. Says, it hurts. It hurts like hell. Like her entire body's being torn apart. Obviously, that pain was from Eshel's barrier. He turns to Cyan and asks why he stopped. Didn't he show up saying he was gonna bring the end of everything? So what's he waiting for? Truth is, Cyan would love to kill him right then and there. But seeing how he can't even scratch that barrier, and not even understanding what the hell it is, yeah, best move now is to fall back. That's when he pulls out of the ring the shield and umbrella soaked in Cecilia's blood. And Violet immediately wants to know what the hell he just did. He simply says, that girl's been purified. Violet doesn't get it, and Eshel spells it out. She's dead, sweetheart. Now he's starting to put the pieces together. He just wants to know who ordered Cyan to do this. Shan replies, I am the mist, and the mist, they don't forgive anyone. But this wasn't some divine purification. This had a different purpose. Eshel seems surprised. So if the mist is acting again, before he can say more, Cyan disappears. Eshel's left alone, frustrated as hell. Why are so many people suddenly standing in his way? All this time, maybe it was the mist screwing up his grand plans from behind the scenes. Scene shifts to a nearby waterfall. Karim's clutching her head, groaning that it hurts like hell. Shan's confused. She says she's never felt anything like that. It's like she couldn't even touch him. Yeah, the situation's way worse than they expected. But Shan has got a possible solution. A Durin Dark elemental stone, a crystal of divine purity. It's just a theory, but he believes they can beat Eshel with it. That's when Karim grabs his arm and begs him not to do it. That item could straight up kill him. Just then, Alice shows up. So Cyan shrugs it off for now and says they'll talk later. Right now, he's got people to protect. He's not repeating the mistakes of his past life. Also, seriously, why didn't he just kill Cecilia already? Forgiving that traitor? But no, he swore if the enemy's stronger than expected, he just has to get stronger himself. Sounds like a solid plan to me. A while later, Alice hands him something. It's the symbol of Marion. Normally, no one's allowed into the spiritual realm, but with this he can enter a place called Fruina. She tells him to be careful. Oh, for the love off. I thought the hooded figure was Shan again, but nope, it's Cecilia, crying her eyes out, whispering thank yous. Alice turns her back and says she hasn't forgiven her, and she better not show her face again. Cecilia says she understands and walks off. Up on a rock, Karam watches the whole thing and asks, are we really just letting that girl go? Maybe we should have just killed her. But Cheyenne says he already did kill her in his past life, and thinking back, there was no need to kill her then either. When he found her, she was already broken, crushed by guilt for murdering his sister. All he did this time was lighten her burden. Maybe one day, she'll pay that debt. Then we cut to the moment earlier, when he killed her. Turns out, it wasn't a death slash, just a clean cut on the shoulder. He removed her armor and told her to stay hidden and wait to be summoned. Back to Cecilia, she's convinced Stan believes she has a shot at redemption, and she swears she'll repay the debt she owes them. Karam, though, she's squinting at Sheehan like, are you sick or something? This guy's been way too soft lately. Sheehan slaps her on cheeks like, what's happening to the Sheehan the Slayer I know? Suddenly someone calls out, it's Cecilia again. She says she already delivered the girl and thanks Karam for saving her. While Karam's sitting there like, this is crazy. I'm face to face with a possessed demon sword with emotions. She has no clue how she's supposed to deal with someone like this. Karam shrugs it off, says it was nothing. That's when Alice lights up. She's all smiles, saying how happy she is to finally meet someone close to her brother. Karam immediately shuts that down. Yeah, nah, it's not like that. It's just a master weapon kind of deal. Nothing more. But it's good to know that the boy's body belongs to her. So to be smart, not to try anything. Alice quickly realizes this demon weapon is definitely not on the good side. Scene shifts to the Lewin Academy. Someone's writing a letter saying they found answers to all the questions they had. And because of that, they decided to leave the Knights of Light. Ah, it's Alice, of course. She says those people have strayed from the path of righteousness. The ones they're trying to protect aren't the ones who should be protected. And the conscience of her own household is being corrupted by all this. Even her father is letting it happen. She says she'll be visiting him soon because there's something she wants to talk about regarding her brother Eshel and Prince Lunel. But for now, she just asks him to take good care of Cian. The headmaster sighs, thinking how messed up all these noble families are lately. One thing that hasn't changed, though, Alice worrying about her brother, like always. At least he can pretend he'll look after the kid like she's always asking. He then apologizes for making Boris wait. Boris says it's fine. The director asks how things are going at the academy, and the bastard calmly says he's adjusting just fine. Then the old man hits him with the real question. So when were you planning to tell me you're working for Prince Lunel? And why the hell he's been keeping it a secret? Boris, totally stone-faced, says he never hid it. No one asked. Besides, it's got nothing to do with his job there. The director now wants to know the real reason he's even at the academy. Boris says he was looking for someone. The director, did you find them? Boris, yes. And boom, he's fired on the spot. The director says if the person he found is who he thinks it is, Boris needs to get out before he tries anything else. Boris is practically shaking now but says he understands. This director's playing the badass role, but honestly, he's not even good at threatening people, especially not this shady old fox Boris. Outside, Boris mutters that he didn't expect that kind of reaction. Clearly, Qian's built some very strong connections. He sends out a message saying he's got fresh intel to report every single day. Hearthcrea wants to know what he's planning to do. If another party gets involved, things are gonna get a lot harder to control, so it's best he treads carefully. Unlike him, Karam has a physical body. Boris just says it's fine. He just needs to sever the connection between the two. The angel compliments his resolve. Right at that moment, someone speaks up. Did you want to see me, Boris? Oh snap, it's Sirika. Boris thanks her and says he's been wanting to ask something about the boy Shan. He explains that Cyan spends most of his time in the dorms, skips all his classes, yet is still incredibly skilled. Sirika agrees, maybe he's just some kind of prodigy. She asks if he's caught Boris' attention. Boris says yeah, he did at first, but now he's more interested in the people around Cian. For example, Miss Sirika Nagrathi, who just so happens to be part of the Mist. Boom! Sirika immediately reaches for her dagger. But Boris raises a hand and suddenly she's caught in a trap full of sharp, snapping teeth. That power, it's giving off serious librarian's grimoire energy. It looked like she got devoured by some hellhound. But no, she steps out calm and deadly, slicing through everything like some gothic menace. Why did I even say that? She's terrifying. She activates the power of the god of the black mist. Boris is straight up shook. He wasn't expecting this. She's actually forming an entirely new domain. Turns out that's how she's been hiding her mana from the rest of the world. Sirika says she has no idea how her identity was found out, but now that he's pulled this stunt, his life has to end here. If death is what he came looking for, she'll happily grant it. Boris opens the book saying this isn't going to be easy, and Sirika replies that he may be full of confidence now, but she wants to see how long that's going to last. Suddenly, they're both surrounded by a bunch of assassins, and she calls out to Boris, saying it's time to begin his purification. The pages flip, and he says fine, he can handle everyone there. The scene shifts to our boy's room, with Emily calling for him, saying that Dad's home. He steps through the portal with Brian, who looks like a total fool. Nan throws herself into his arms, saying she missed him, while Brian immediately heads over to Emily, asking for something to eat. Our boy notices that strangely Nan is growing bigger. He asks if she's okay, and she says yes. She's been getting along with Sirika just like he asked. He realizes that her training with Sirika must be going well then. Some time ago, he asked Sirika to start training Nan so she could learn to control her emotional collapses. He didn't want a repeat of what happened at the blood banquet. Sirika's training obviously isn't easy, but when it comes to controlling instincts, she's the best. He compliments Nan, telling her she's really putting in the effort. She agrees, but says that today, Sirika told her there wouldn't be training because she had other plans. San is already curious. What plan? Karim says it's probably a purification. That's because, well, Karim was the one who requested Boris be purified. Shan looks confused, and she explains that Boris is working here as an instructor. And of course, it'd be easy for Sirika to get close to him since they work in the same place. Shan responds that there's no way Eru would have allowed something like that. Didn't he know who she was fighting against? Karim asks if he's talking about the scripture, like Sirika and Misty couldn't handle that. Then right away, our boy says she must already know about Hearthcray too. And it looks like he didn't realize she didn't know, because now both of them are confused. Honestly, I thought everyone was already in on everything. She's standing there looking all dazed and half asleep, saying she thought it wouldn't be necessary. Sometimes we forget she doesn't really know he can see the future. He's hiding it, she's hiding stuff too, but they're still on the same side. It's a whole mess. So he says they don't have time to waste. That guy's bloodline is the real threat. Then he tells Brian and Nan that he's heading out. But when he sees Brian eating that poison Emily made, he has to ask why. Poor Brian says he was just too hungry and asks if Shion wants him to come along. Our boy says no, he's only taking Karim. And strangely, he's amazed Brian is still alive after eating that. He tells him to take Nan and Emily to Brno. Nan, confused, asks if Dad is already leaving. He says, unfortunately, yes, it's too dangerous for them to stay here right now. They don't need to worry, though. He'll take care of it. He leaves them in Brian's care. Cut back to Sirika, who says the more she looks at Boris, the more disgusting he seems. Seeing the number of zombies around, she suspects the blood banquet might have been his doing. Those puppets all give off the same aura. Smiling, Boris asks if she's already getting tired. Strange, since that was just the appetizer. The main course was on its way, with dessert. Sirika dodges another attack, but she's surrounded on all sides. She activates the Raging Mist Tempest skill, and every skill in this series is a whole mess of slashes flying everywhere. She unleashes 8 fluttering petals along with Bloodthirst Surge, but even then, Boris is still just floating there calmly, casting Lance of Judgment as the clueless ones run for their lives. She notices, strangely, that he's using a ton of high-level skills, and she doesn't even have time to breathe. One more puppet sneaks up behind her, and she has to dodge its grab by stepping up onto a pillar. Oh my god, the girl doesn't get a single second to breathe. She can't even pull off another skill. She uses something called Nadusting and boom. Explosions everywhere, sweeping through the sky. She can't understand how each one of those puppets had that much mana inside. Clearly, that's not normal at all. Whoa, the whole area just got vaporized. You're not killing my little purple goth like that, Boris. I'll come after you myself. But it seems the bastard doesn't care, because he just says it's time for her to die and activates his war hammer. The attack lands straight on Sirika. It looks like she got crushed, and Boris comes down. She says now she understands how those puppets work. Apparently, they can track an opponent's mana, different from the usual kind. And probably that book he's holding is the source of all their power. At the very least, it's something incredible, judging by the mana she's sensing. Probably a weapon of the gods. Boris claps his hands, saying her battle sense and vast knowledge are truly impressive. But none of that matters right now. Suddenly, he activates a skill called Imaginarium. The puppets start acting weird, either coming out of the ground or glitching. It's hard to tell what's going on. But Boris warns her that he still has plenty more of those to play with, so she might as well give up. Come on, Sirika, don't give up, my goth queen. She gets up and says she's not throwing in the towel just yet, activating a secret technique of expansion, total jujutsu style. Out of nowhere, there's some Shikamaru-like move from behind. Summon the familiar? Man, she pulls out a full-on demon. This is new to me. Mammon, god of greed, sounds almost like Mamoru, but not quite. Boris is confused, trying to figure out how she pulled this off. The mana he felt coming from her earlier, completely gone. Mammon is roaring and the puppets are all trembling, but they still charge in recklessly. Obviously, they get slapped silly and smashed into the ground. Wait, nope. Turns out they're like cursed ants clinging to his arm. But then Mammon activates some kind of spikes and pierces through everything. From a distance, Boris says it's unthinkable that she would create a demon like that with her own mana. She's truly talented. But even so, all it was going to do was buy some time. At this point, she's completely drained, just a hollow shell with no mana left. Oh no, what just happened? Why is Sirika's hair white now? I've got a bad feeling about this. Boris says that even casting a simple spell will be hard for her now. Unfortunately, her choice was a mistake. But she suddenly lunges at him from the side, saying it looks like he thought he wasn't in any danger. She strikes, and those protective shields of his show up again. Every time that same pattern. Boris is startled. He can't keep track of her movements. How is she still this fast with no mana at all? That rapid combo of attacks back and forth. The barrier starts cracking, then shatters. She spins her blade and slips through the gap. He's completely panicking. She goes in for a heavy blow, telling him it's checkmate. Come on, Sirika, for the love of everything. Win this. If you die now, I'll be seriously heartbroken. She swings her huge hand down toward his face, about to slam him into the ground. Boris realizes he doesn't have enough time to cast anything. She's ready to finish him off, but he prepares a spell in his hand, saying he'll at least try to cast it without chanting. He summons a mine right beneath himself, and the explosion launches Sirika away. Then he comes right back with those lances of judgment clearly exhausted. But the badass drops and instantly dashes back in at full speed. The guy's definitely not great at handling close combat. She's dodging everything he throws, closes the distance, and spins into a wild move. Even I'm getting confused trying to follow what's happening. She's upside down, kicks down from the sky with a Rock Lee-style flying strike. There's no way he's getting up from that one. Then suddenly someone says, that's enough for today, Boris. She was coming down to finish him all from above when a strange golden barrier appears. He calls out to Lord Hearthcree. Right away, Sirika realizes that's the divine weapon protecting him. The book then states that it had no information on this girl. It thought she was just some low-level servant of Eru. But with skills like hers, at the very least, she got to be a high-ranking officer. And in his current condition, Boris didn't stand a chance. Holy hell, good to know, but now I'm worried. Sirika's staring him down, and she notices that black blood is leaking out of Boris. She asks if he's a member of the Black Blood tribe. She thought they were extinct. Wiping his face, he says that's exactly why he avoids getting injured. It was really unfortunate that she figured it out. The puppets at the blood banquet, the stunned stones, all of it came from the Black Blood tribe. And now Sirika is sure he was the one responsible for that massacre. Boris, totally unbothered, says that, well, it looks like the secret's out. It's going to be hard to keep working around here now. What a shame. Sirika charges at him again, telling him to shut up. But he simply activates the book, saying they'll meet again some other time. But she's not letting him go that easy. The demon comes up from behind and smashes both him and the book. The double strike hits dead on, and even the book groans that she's such an annoying woman. Boris looks up and says he completely forgot that this damn monster had been summoned, and all of his puppets have already been used as sacrifices. Meanwhile, Sirika notices her dagger isn't making it through the shield. Suddenly, the space she created starts cracking open behind her. She assumes someone's arriving to back up Boris. But hang on, it's Xian showing up. Boris is already stunned, trying to figure out what the hell that brat is doing here. The kid walks in silently, Karam in hand, and lands a solid blow right on the shield, shatters it. Explosions and lights bursting everywhere. Karam appears, saying the whole scene makes her feel sick. Clearly talking to that bastard Hearthcree, wants to know how she found him and how the two of them even got there so fast. Karam just replies that she has good instincts, and she can smell the stench of hypocrites like him a mile away, especially the kind that reek with such vile energy. Hearthcree answers that he warned her. She picked the wrong side in this fight. Her expression shifts, and the guy morphs into some glowing egg covered in glyphs and wings, activating the authority of the Seraph god. At the same time, the book is glowing right in front of our boy and Sirika. The creature lets out a blast, energy expands outward. And my god, this damn Boris still won't die seriously. Sirika calls out to Xian, and man, he's holding the line, not backing down one bit. The kid's resisting divine authority, but she can't understand what kind of power could even pull something like that off. The demon sword alone shouldn't be enough. As he pushes forward, Xian says that Eru had been hiding something way more dangerous than they thought. Then Boris speaks up, saying he'll help Hearthcree after all. Because, well, the wielder of the demon's sword they were supposed to eliminate was standing right in front of him. Hearthcree, however, tells Boris to stop and not interfere, because they weren't strong enough. Looks like something's already taking over him, battling with his mind. Suddenly, the book senses something strange. A dagger slices through it. Wait, did Xian just tear through the book? And then he stabs Boris right in the chest. Boris can't even comprehend how that brat managed to break through Hearthcree's protection. Now he's sure that cursed fog covering the sun, that was the symbol of Xian Vert. That boy is the blade destined to be pointed at Eshel in the future, and he has to get rid of him now. From afar, Sirika can tell by the amount of mana he's using that Xian won't last much longer. She has to act before it's too late, and she's clearly getting pissed, teetering on the edge of horns coming out, going full rage mode. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Our boy's got the knife lodged in the idiot's chest. The guy's trying to push him back, no idea who's overpowering who right now. But Xian activates the unshakable roots of the great tree. Boris clenches his teeth and sends a hellhound lunging in for the bite, but Sirika jumps in to save him. Look at her activating the unified demonic human form. Our boy is stunned, then suddenly, he sees that strange egg-shaped thing again, covered in glyphs and wings. The mana just keeps growing and the whole area is exploding around them. Right then, Sirika realizes her mist domain has been completely overridden, and in the blink of an eye, they're back in the forest. It failed the purification. Shin instantly gets up, demanding to know why the hell she stopped him. She just replies, obviously, that she saved his life. All dizzy, he tells her that in the end, he was the one who saved her. Then he asks how Karim is doing. She simply answers that she's going to need a nap. Just like in the fight against Eshel, she's exhausted after dealing with that barrier. And our boy is convinced this battle was inevitable, and he's not going to have a choice anymore. He'll have to use that. What is it? No clue. You don't know either because he's hiding it from us. The scene then shifts to Brennil, a trade city located near Lewin. Is that Lunov? Probably not. But a blue-haired girl shows up, saying she doubted he'd come, but the bastard really did. Now that I realize it, I might be losing my mind. And Alice, yeah, our boy's sister, has gone to meet with the useless school director. They're having the most obvious conversation ever. She doesn't go to school, and the old man doesn't lead the school. But he says he's there because of the letter she sent. Sounded like a serious matter. She assumes it's about her leaving the Order of Knights, but he replies that he figured she'd eventually follow her own path. What the family wants doesn't matter. It's what she said about Eshel and Luenel that really caught his attention. Alice grabs her glass and wants to know if he has any information on Eshel. The old man says no, but asks what she thinks would happen if Eshel became the family's leader. Alice says plenty of talented people join the Knights of Light, so he'd probably become the leader of the Empire's strongest army. The director agrees and says Luenel would side with him and would also lead the Knights of Light. Alice says that's exactly what worries her most and wants to know what the old man thinks. He tells her about that time when Sian asked him what was more important, the Empire's prosperity or the family's honor. It was almost like the kid already knew what was going to happen. And now he realizes he hadn't been careful enough about what they might have already done. Alice questions what he means by Shan knowing the future. He stands up, saying he's not certain, but for now, she should leave the Empire. She doesn't understand why. He just says a major disaster is about to fall on this place. He'll do what he can to set things right, but there are no guarantees. She's still confused, and he brings up the possibility of a coup d'etat. He's starting to see signs of internal power struggles for the throne. Back in the trade city of Brno, our boy's daughter is all emotional, going on about strange fruits, weird people, and things she's never seen before. Brian has to keep apologizing to everyone who looks ready to hit the girl, telling her she can't just point at people and call them weird. On top of that, he reminds her that they're supposed to keep a low profile here. The priority is to reach the shelter safely. Emily agrees and says that for now, everyone's going to assume they're just a normal family. Right then, the boy's face turns tomato red and he tells them to hurry up and follow him. Emily starts running after them, but of course, the troublemaker runs the other way instead. At the window, Alice remembers what the director said about a possible coup. She hadn't imagined Eshel and Luenel were planning something like that. Maybe she forgot they literally tried to kill her, huh? What she doesn't understand is how both the headmaster and Xian already know about it. Right at that moment, the door behind her starts to open and someone calls out to Alice. It's Emily and Brian saying it's been a long time since they last saw her. Alice immediately realizes those two must have been living with Xian at the academy. And she's already doing the math, figuring the kid's been surrounded by women this whole time. Then Brian says that the young master had urgent business to take care of and sent the three of them instead. Alice asks who the third one is since, obviously, there's no one else there with them. Only now do they notice the dragon girl's gone missing. Ryan's just standing there like it's no big deal, saying that literally a second ago she was right there. Alice puts her hands on her hips and says if she's someone important to Xian, she's going to help find her. Cut to the port of Bruneo. Some guy closes the door and says they're ready to set sail, and at this time the payment's gonna be good. They'll deliver the messages, but suddenly they spot that same kid from before. Wait, what is Nana doing on someone else's boat? They start wondering if the child isn't scared to be walking around alone like that. One of the men at the front calls out to her, asking where her parents are, but she just points toward the ship and says she smells a strange but familiar scent coming from in there. The two men look at each other, seeing a perfect opportunity for easy money. They turn back and say there's lots of yummy food on board. She asks if it's sweet. Of course the guy says yes, thinking to himself that this girl is way too old to fall for the candy trick. He has no idea who she is, but she's clearly not all there. Nana asks if she can have some. The two guys say of course, they're nice people, trustworthy even, and she can have as much as she wants. But then she remembers what Sayan told her about people offering her sweets. Seems like she remembers, but just doesn't care because she walks straight toward the ship while they tell her to go on in. It's full of tasty stuff. She also remembers Sian warning her never to go into random places, especially if they're dark and closed off. And yet there she is, stepping right in, while the guy's thinking to himself that she really is an idiot. In her memory, we see the moment they kick the door shut, and one of the thugs says they got another prize. Today's their lucky day. Inside, Nana sees a bunch of cells. She asks where the candy is, but all she sees are a bunch of kids. That's when it hits her. She stares at the door, realizing she got lied to. The poor thing starts crying, apologizing to San, saying she got tricked even after all his advice. But then her nose picks something up again, something familiar. She heads to the back of the room, finds a cage, and when she pulls the cloth off, she sees a high-ranking monster, a red null. The monster is raging with fury, but she gently pets it, and suddenly it's acting all soft and sweet. She wants to know how it ended up there and decides she's going to let it out. With a wag of its tail, she opens the cage by hand, telling him he's free now. Then someone calls out to her, and it's the other kids in the cells asking to be freed too. And of course, she's going to go around freeing every last one of them. The scene shifts back to the guys who kidnapped her. They're meeting with the captain, saying everything's ready. A chubby guy named Tolino says, all right then, it's time to set sail. The dwarf on the crew wants to know if they're going to negotiate with their own kind. The guy says, yeah, Morris has disappeared out of nowhere and the Gray Merchant Union is done for. Now that they don't have to pay taxes to anyone, all that money's going straight into their pockets, especially since the Guren Association pays extra for young children. The dwarf, though, is already sensing danger. Chaos is coming. This whole situation with merchant unions getting wiped out left and right, definitely not a good sign. Is that what they call women's intuition? No way that bearded dwarf is a woman. Everyone's confused, just like I am. The person just says they should be cautious. But Tolino insists there's nothing to worry about. The Null champion is on their side. Except off in the distance, the whole ship explodes. And right as he's about to ask, who the hell did that? Someone steps in front of him. Nana says they're bad adults, and she can't forgive that. Right away, the chubby guy at least realizes she's a Dragonkin. Nana points right at them and says they're bad people, and they're gonna pay the price. The guy's already annoyed. Tell her to stop pointing at everyone. But she steps forward and says, then today, I'll just go without this finger. They charge in recklessly, only to each take one punch and drop flat beneath her foot. Tolino, though, activates a mark on his hand and says, oh, so you want to play. That's when Nana notices the Null behind him start to move and charge at her. Could that be the parent of the one she saved? Imagine that, Mom or Dad. The attack looks like it landed square on her, and Tolino even says it would have been better to leave her alive. He calls her an idiot for damaging such a valuable product. But of course, Nana blocked the attack with one hand. She notices that the Null's collar has the same mark as the one on Tolino's hand. The monster tries a few more attacks, but she dodges with ease. Meanwhile, Tolino's losing it, wondering how these guys can't be a child. He activates the mark again and says she's big enough to take this down now. The Null charges in again, but this time Nana charges up a purple energy in her hand and slams it right into its chest. The creature gets launched straight into Tolino, crushing him entirely. Back in the city, Brian and the others are running when they spot a giant cloud of smoke from far away. The moment they see it, they know that much mana doesn't belong anywhere near here. Tolino is getting back up, growling that this damn brat isn't leaving alive. He tries to activate the slave mark one more time, but obviously, the shackles have been broken. Now the Null he used to control is glaring right at him, reaching for his head. Looks like he's about to be completely crushed. Nana walks up and just stares him down. This girl, seriously, she's growing up, and yeah, she's getting kinda scary. She gives the Null a look and then pulls out his kid. Right, knew it, so cute. She tells him she already figured out that the mom is looking for him. Nana smiles, all blushing, grabs the little guy and starts walking away. And just like that, she starts thinking about how much she misses her own dad too. Suddenly, someone behind her says thanks for saving them. She turns around and sees the kids from the cages. Now the problem is, she doesn't know what to do with all of them. And of course, those three crooks in the background try to sneak away. She tells them to freeze right there. They'd be taking responsibility and escorting these kids back home. If not, they'd get eaten, literally. The poor guys have no choice. And that weird little dwarf just says they got the message. With that, the terrible trio heads off and Nana's left wondering if Shion will praise what she did. She finally managed to do something good, for once, without causing any problems. Then someone puts a hand on her head. Where did you even come from, you sneaky thing, she says. And he praises her, telling her she really did something great. She asks how he found her, and he just thinks to himself. With mana like that, it's harder not to find her. The moment he saw the shelter was empty, he already guessed she disappeared. And now when he catches Emily and Brian, they're seriously getting scolded. All gentle, he tells Nana that he can find her no matter where she is, because he's her dad. While Nana celebrates, he can't help but notice just how insanely powerful her mana already is. Then here comes Brian, yelling out for the young master, completely panicked, saying he's so glad Nana's okay, and that he was really worried something might have happened to her. Shane calmly says it's pretty clear Brian knows exactly how badly he messed up. Meanwhile, Alice realizes the person they've been looking for this whole time was a Dragonkin girl. The scene shifts to the empire of Yusuf in the Quizelle mansion. A blonde guy is running down the stairs, demanding to know why this person came here. He never leaves the academy. And then the headmaster shows up, and the blonde boy calls him father. The old man says they need to talk. It's been a long time since they've seen each other. In another room, he says it's been 10 years since he handed over the title of Duke. That's why he doesn't interfere much in how things are run. What he doesn't understand is why the property taxes have dropped so much while the imperial family's funds just keep increasing. The blonde son says he should know very well that the current empress's family has been funneling massive amounts of money, and their political standing is going to deteriorate if they don't pay those amounts. Unless, of course, his father doesn't want Luenel to become emperor. The old man slams the table and asks if he truly believes Luenel has the qualities of a real emperor. The blonde kid, now clearly rattled, says it doesn't matter, as long as it's someone from the Quizell family. At that, the father practically drags a corpse out of the past, saying this is just like when he married his dead daughter off to the emperor. He says he won't speak another word about it, but all support for Luenel is to be withdrawn immediately. As he turns to leave, the son asks where he's going. He replies that he's heading to the palace. Cut to the Verde estate. Man, it's been a while since we've seen that place. Eshel is there, saying it seems they've figured out who the owner of the demon's sword is. Even after preparing the perfect plan, it looks like he'll have to worry about everything falling apart again. And on top of that, Alice leaving the order came as a surprise. At least now he holds an even stronger position as heir to this place. But he noticed something. Her eyes were filled with resentment. Could she already know something? That thought is starting to make him angry. Suddenly, a portal opens beside him, and out stumbles Boris, completely wrecked. Eshel immediately wants to know what happened, and if this is the real appearance of the Black Blood tribe. Boris apologizes, saying he didn't want to reveal this form. But Eshel just demands to know who did this to him. He thought Boris was still at Lewin Academy. Boom, truth bomb. It was his own brother, Xian, who left him like that. Eshel is visibly shaken, but Boris says that at least he completed the mission. He acquired the mana from the demon's sword that was found at the blood banquet. Now, he finally knows who the blade belongs to. It clicks for Eshel. From the beginning, it was Xian. He was the one ruining all their plans, and to think he never even suspected it until now. Boris apologizes for not having the strength to eliminate that thing. Eshel tells him it's fine. He'll take care of himself. He's already fought the boy, and it won't be easy, but he knows he can do it. Even so, Boris warns, it's not time yet. Eshel is confused, but Boris explains, the followers of the Black Nerva are with that boy. In a situation like this, it's far too unpredictable. The blonde wants to know why, and Boris simply pleads with him to follow the prophecy. The Sake will guide him to the sacred sword, the blade known as Duran the Ark. And damn, it turns out one of Shan's people is right there, witnessing this whole thing live. He's hyped to report back to the young master. But suddenly, Boris appears right behind him, saying he's found the little rat. He grabs him by the neck and demands to know if he's one of Eshel's subordinates. If so, why is he running away after hearing all that? Eshel steps out of the room, saying the guy really was acting suspicious. And now it's obvious. He's been deceiving him this whole time. Yeah, that guy's definitely dead. Back at the academy, Luna is flipping through some books, saying this isn't what she's looking for. That ancient text she found in the lab and the clues in it, they were in some kind of ancestral language she's never seen before. If she hadn't been thrown out the window, maybe she couldn't figure out more. At least she managed to learn that there are only 2 books in the world written in that language, the Divine Scriptures and the Demonic Scriptures, from which she could tell that one was part of the Divine Set. But why would something like that be in Boris's hands? As she's there, deep in thought, trying to understand how this all connects to the Garan Association, Erin suddenly appears and calls out to her. She wants to know why Luna looks so serious, but Luna, of course, wants to know what she's doing there. Strangely enough, Erin jumps straight to the point, asking if she's seen Xian around. Where's that black-haired boy? Luna replies that no, she hasn't seen him. She spends all her time in the library, and he rarely comes by. But is Erin missing him by any chance? The braided girl immediately flares up, saying, not a chance. It's just that the weirdo said he was coming to school, and then suddenly stopped showing up. She doesn't get it. Lunav says he'll turn up soon. Erin asks how she can be so calm about it, and Lunav simply answers, because that's just how he is. Erin's left speechless, staring at Luna while the contemplative music practically plays in the background, until suddenly, Rezimus bursts in saying they've got a problem. What is it? Rezimus hands over a card from the palace. Erin takes a look and immediately recognizes her father's handwriting. Something on it confirms strong ties between the Vert family and the palace. It was a marriage notice between the 5th princess, Erin Severus, and Cyan Verte. Wait, what? This was a promised engagement, some kind of future union between the 2 families. Hold on a second. Did he just marry off the kids? This can't be right. These cursed adults, man. Erin's face turns as red as an exploding tomato. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to the Emperor's room where he's thanking Violet, telling her not to worry. It's just a common cold. But then someone calls out to His Majesty. The old man arrives too, offering his formal greetings. The 2 women bow as well and politely excuse themselves, giving space for the 2 elders to talk. The Emperor immediately comments that the headmaster must have come from far away to visit. But the deep-web Gandalf is more concerned about why the Emperor looks like death. The guy's practically skin and bones. The Emperor apologizes, saying he didn't want to welcome such a valuable guest while in this state. Alright, what is happening here? Are these old men about to kiss or something? Everything's way too polite all of a sudden. Anyway, the headmaster wants to know what exactly happened to get him looking like this. The Emperor explains that he thought it was just a cold, but his condition hasn't been getting better at all. Great, now I'm stressed. I always call these old guys, but now there are 2 of them in the same scene. This almost never happens. My brain is crashing. The academy head says he should have come sooner, but the emperor waves it off and says it's fine. There's something serious they need to talk about. After all, he knows full well the headmaster wouldn't leave the academy unless it was important. Then he asks, does he have any concerns about Luminel? The director confirms it. From the sound of it, the emperor already knows. At first, the headmaster didn't think it was that big a deal, but things are definitely serious now. The emperor starts forming a little energy sphere in his hand, saying that as long as he's alive, that boy won't cause any problems. Yeah, well, you're forgetting the part where you're basically dying in bed, aren't you? And the academy director notices that too. The emperor's mana, while still strong, is wildly unstable. It's not just his appearance that's decayed. But then the emperor brings up something else that's been bothering him. He wants to know how Princess Erin's been doing at the academy. The headmaster says she was Eshel's student. Not only did she work hard, but she had real talent too. He's confident that before long she'll become a true princess, and that the emperor has nothing to worry about. The father lets out a relieved breath, saying she was always such a crybaby and used to worry so much about what would become of her. But it looks like she's changed a lot ever since meeting a certain boy. Obviously, right? It's the black-haired kid. And yep, now the emperor says he's decided to marry her off to him. Just like that. Doesn't even care. Strangely enough, the headmaster just sighs. The emperor picks up on that. He sees the guy isn't surprised at all. Then he coughs and says, well, it does feel like an obvious plan. Especially since he was the one who recommended the royal dorms to Cian in the first place, right? The emperor asks what he thinks of the boy. And without hesitation, the headmaster says he's terrible. The kid skips class all the time. He's never seen him read a single book. In the academy, it's going to take decades before a student worse than that shows up. The emperor starts to wonder if maybe he made a mistake. But there's something worth mentioning. Even with all that, he's still the most talented person the headmaster has ever seen. As long as Cian is by Erin's side, no one will ever be able to lay a finger on her. Alright, calm down with the hype. The emperor says that's reassuring, but even so, he's still worried about blood being spilled between the brothers. Meanwhile, just outside the room, someone calls for Violet. At first I was about to ask, who's this girl again? Oh right, it's that sweet little brother of hers. He knows she was in a conversation with their father and grandpa, and now he wants to know what that old guy is doing there. But Violet just chuckles and tells him to go in and ask if he's that curious. He tells her to knock it off, but she just tells him to shut his mouth because he's too damn annoying. Now the brat's ready to throw hands, but she grabs his chin and pulls him in close. She reminds him more than anyone else. She's made it crystal clear. She knows exactly what he tried to do to their brothers. In that moment, he tears off her arm and tells her to stop messing around. He's going in to speak to his father. But he already knows someone betrayed him. And now, this girl knows too much. Little does he know, it was Eshel all along, the one pulling the strings. Violet, still looking beautiful as ever, just stares him down. You're my enemy now. Back with Erin, who's still basically a melted tomato at this point, completely confused about the whole marriage to Cian thing. Her father can't just make a decision that important without her. Lunav tells her not to worry, it's simple. Just say no. But Erin, face still buried in the desk, says maybe it's not so bad. It's not the worst idea she's ever heard. Allied families do grow stronger together after all. Resamis, though, jumps up and stomps on the table, shouting that she fully supports this marriage. It would be amazing. She's witnessed everything they've gone through. This is fate, or the will of the gods. She's already going off about what she'll have to wear to the wedding, until Erin grabs her and tells her to snap out of it. Then suddenly, someone walks into the room asking what all the yelling's about. It's Cian, telling them to keep it down. The princess looks super uncomfortable. Then, out of nowhere, she grabs those two and disappears from the room. He's left standing there, confused. Lunav looks at him and asks if he likes Erin. He immediately throws out a no. Of course not, right? A guy acts like he's 40. To him, she's just a kid. A head pat, nothing more. Lunav looks off to the side and says, all right then, I get it. She's smiling to herself. Yeah, she's not all there either. Shen wants to know what all these books are for. She tells him she was looking for clues about the scriptures. She remembers what she saw in Boris's notes and is convinced it's written in some kind of secret ancient language. But Shan says he's sure she won't find anything else here. She'd have to go into the forbidden archives, the ones with sacred scripture records from Hearthcrea. Then he hands her a book to read. She sees the title, Chronicles of the Swordsman Penelin, and asks if it's just a travel diary. These girls, man, they're all a little odd. He goes to show her something in the book and she's already blushing, jumping away. He's talking about some mountain where demons sleep and lost a blood war or something like that. But she's not even listening, completely flustered and confused. She asks if he's interested in learning more about the sacred scriptures. All dark and serious, he replies no. He's actually looking for the demonic scripture, to face it head-on. Lunav looks shocked. That's because barely anyone in the world is even supposed to know that demonic scriptures exist, only a select group within Garan. She quickly closes the book and says she's never heard of anything like that. He tells her that's fine and starts to leave, telling her to send a message if she finds anything. Right then, Lunav summons someone named Lamella. A tough-looking night girl appears and immediately bows, saying she's sorry for leaving her side and that she should never have been left alone. But Lunav knows this woman is here more to spy on her than to protect or help. She then asks how many people in the Garan Association know the names Hearthcreate and Lemharam. Lamela warns her to be careful. Very few people know those names, and they're considered forbidden to prevent the spread of that knowledge. Lunav asks her to check the records related to Lemharam, who she suspects is the demonic god. Lamela hesitates and says that if she's caught, she'll be executed. But Lunav reminds her that Regens, her father, will be furious depending on what she tells him about Lamela, so she better cooperate. The poor knight just turns around and says she understands. Now Lunav is determined to figure out how Cian even knows all of this. Her top priority now is to get closer to that boy. He's definitely hiding something. Meanwhile, as Cian walks through the hallways, he's surprised that Lunav really didn't know any of this. It looks like he'll have to investigate things on his own. Oh boy, look who's still waiting in front of his room. This guy doesn't give up. He tells Cian to open up and talk about whatever's bothering him. He's emotionally perceptive and can tell the kid is worried. Cian's just standing there, wondering if this guy has completely lost it, and what the hell he's even doing here. He walks past him, saying it's a shame, but now's not the time to play around. The guy asks him to wait. He has lots of advice and might actually be able to help. But Cian figures this musclehead must be ridiculously dumb. There's no way he'll be useful. Then he remembers this guy lives in a desert, so Cian asks if he's ever heard the phrase mountain full of sand trees. The guy tells him to explain properly, and Cian says the name Lemharam. The man laughs and says it's been a while since he heard that name. Then he crushes his own glasses and says that was the first opponent who ever made him taste defeat. He met Lemharam in some nameless ruins. Back then, he was 6 years old and had already set out on his journey to grow stronger. Dude, at that age, my longest journey was from the bed to the couch. Of course, he had no muscle, no experience, and that creature was pure terror. Honestly, no idea how he survived. He had absolutely no way of beating it. Eventually, he lost consciousness and only woke up the next day, relieved at least that he hadn't been killed. Apparently, after getting beaten so badly, he fled by instinct. It was humiliating. Cian then asks if Lemharam is a monster and not a book. Seth confirms, yes, it's a creature. Cian immediately feels crushed, and now he knows he'll have no choice but to track this thing down. He asks where it is. Seth says he doesn't know the name of the ruins. The best he can do is tell him it was somewhere in a region called Medeli. That's because in the ancient tongue, Medeli means mountain full of sand trees. Cian immediately tells him to take him there. When? Seth asks. Right now, Cian replies. Seth hesitates, but then remembers calling for his mom as a kid. This guy was basically born with abs. He explains that his friends always run off because whenever he invites them to spar, they almost die. His mother tells him not to worry. One day, he'll meet a friend as strong as him, someone who'll like him for who he is. Instead of telling him to stop beating up his friends, great job, Mom, truly raising a model citizen. But she reassures him again. One day, they'll grow up and find someone to go on adventures with. And now here's another lunatic, face bright red, yelling that it's fine. Sanvert, he's getting ready, and they're heading out right now. Cian, however, is confused. Something about this guy doesn't sit right. He's too excited, so much so he could run through a wall. Nearby, Lunav is sneaking around, listening to everything. As soon as Cian steps into his room, Emily and Brian are both startled, saying an interesting letter from the palace arrived, and they didn't know he was already so advanced. He snatches the letter out of their hands and tells them to stop reading his stuff. He opens it, and right away they blurt out he's getting married. Cian, confused, asks to who. Emily says it's obvious, Princess Erin. Our boy doesn't even look surprised. Now here's why Lunav asked that weird question earlier. Still, he just folds the letter and says he'll think about it later. For now, he's pretending he didn't see any of it. Next thing you know, he's dressed in desert gear, no idea where he even got it, and says goodbye. He'll be gone a while. Meanwhile, Namna, sitting on the couch, wants to know who the new mom is. Then says she's not having a mom, ever. He's a single guy, a Sigma. Emily's devastated, and Brian tells him to think carefully. He'd be going against an imperial decree. But Cian says the life he's about to live won't be peaceful. He's going to be hunted for the rest of his life or executed. It's probably better if Erin doesn't stay close to him. Otherwise, she'll get dragged into the mess too. He slams the door behind him, leaving everyone in this super sad, heavy silence. Emily gets emotional, saying it's hard to watch him live like that, especially when it's Eshel who's behind all the evil. But Brian places a hand on her shoulder and says not to worry. They won't let anything bad happen. They're going to do everything they can to support the young master. Nana adds that she'll help too. But something seems off when they turn around. They see she's basically transformed into Cian 2.0. Scene cuts to the kingdom of Esparnia, deep in the southeastern part of Nordeli. Oh boy, they're all riding on a flying carpet like Aladdin. Our boy's loving it, saying this thing's awesome. Seth says yeah, it's insanely fast for traveling around here. What Cian wants to know is, does Seth actually know where they're going? Seth tells him not to worry. His memory is perfect. All they have to do is cross this tiny sandstorm. The only problem is, this is Esparnia's sandstorm. Apparently, it didn't go so well. Cian opens his eyes to find they already made it through. He's collapsed on the ground. Seth immediately tells him to get up and asks why he fainted. He's totally fine. Our boy tells him to shut up and demands to know how much longer they're staying in this desert. They've been flying on this carpet forever and still haven't arrived. Just as Seth is about to respond, Shan says he finally sees something. Off in the distance, he can make out the ruins. Seth says Shin might be one of the only people besides himself to ever step foot there, but Shan doesn't agree. Seth picks up on it. Looks like Shan's noticed someone else. He announces it. Someone got there right before them. And sure enough, there are some people on camels already near the ruins. The white-haired guy tells everyone to stay sharp. They don't know what's inside, so it's best to be cautious. As they watch the entrance, Shan says they'll need to stay hidden for now. But suddenly, Seth jumps out. He almost throws a punch, but the guy dodges it. But one attack doesn't even recognize Seth, and our boy's just standing there, wondering what the hell this lunatic is doing now. At first, Sam thought they knew each other, but the loudest guy suddenly shouts out that he's Seth the Chaharkin and demands to know who's in the Esparnia region. And just so they know, he's not alone. His buddy Cian Verte is right behind that rock. Strangely, the guy seems to recognize the name Cian Vert, and immediately, our boy realizes the situation just got complicated. Even so, the guy says he doesn't care if the troublemaker and the youngest member of the Vert family are there. Now that they know about this place, they're not allowed to leave. He activates some sort of volt surge and slashes forward. It looked like a direct hit, but obviously Seth just used a sand construct to block the attack and countered with a punch. Fast exchanges, like it's Tyson in his prime, crash into the wall. Turns out the strike didn't really land. It only scratched the guy's face. Snowhair is starting to realize he overestimated both of them. Meanwhile, Seth's more upset that he missed than concerned about the fight. The guy yells at him to stop being arrogant. This is serious. He could die here. Then he glances back, only to see Shan had already dealt with his team. Our boy went full Dragon Ball Z, flared his aura, and declared they wouldn't be forgiven. But suddenly, another voice tells him to stay where he is. He glances to the side, and what the hell? There's Lamella growing stronger beside Lunav. Yet it's safe to say Shan might actually have a shot with this one. Lunav calmly tells the guy, ranks for it to lower his sword. She says both of them are with her. He immediately apologizes, bows his head, and is turning red as a beet. Why? No idea. But it kinda looks like he's flustered. He's clearly into her. Weird guy. Lunav turns all cheerful and asks how Shan's doing. He just replies that he's fine, but he doesn't understand what she's doing here. And strangely, the weirdo responds by saying she found him because he smells nice. Cue Karen fuming with jealousy. Yep, it's obvious now. He likes Lunav. Better call the FBI on this oddball. Something ain't right. Back to Nana, who's now using Polymorph to become Xian 2.0. Sirikit is standing in front of her, saying this proves she's entering the age where she'll become a true dragon. The transformation wasn't perfect yet, but soon it would start to stabilize. Of course, that's a basic ability for dragons, hiding their true forms. What she finds odd is that Nana somehow activated this ability on her own without ever having seen a real dragon. Brian starts squitting bullets. He's not about to admit that actually she has seen one. In fact, Xian already killed two. Sirika wants to know exactly where that black-haired brat is. Brian says he has no idea. He just said he was stepping out. Sirika huffs, saying she gets it. He's always disappearing, that damn kid. She slams the door and the two of them sigh in relief. Back in the desert, obviously everyone wants to enter the ruins now. But Karen Rainsker says this place is way too dangerous for just the three of them, even for Lunav. She, however, tells him she's never heard of anyone coming back alive from this place. And if that's the case, it's better that they all go in together. If they go one at a time, they'll just end up dead. She says she trusts the two of them, but they insist it's not worth the risk. That's because they're already above the 7th star. With them here, things change drastically. That's when Seth raises his hand and says he's already been in there and made it out alive. The others doubt him, saying that's impossible. There are no records of such a thing. But Seth says that once they go in, he can prove it. They'll see a bunch of lizard men near the entrance. Shan knows those creatures are high level, and it's odd to see them right at the beginning. Oh, and there's another problem. They broke the entrance open earlier, meaning one of those lizard men is about to come out. Cyan tells everyone to get ready. Whatever they were expecting to find inside is already on its way out. Our wonderful Lamella instantly draws her sword, declaring she'll protect Lunav. The others charge in too, shouting that they'll help. One guy fires off a perfect lightning strike. Lamella unleashes a blinding slash, and Lunav starts freezing everything in sight. But the creatures just keep coming, until someone suddenly pulls a sphere out of the void. Is this guy trying to be Gojo? Look at this guy, conjuring a bunch of purple void orbs and launching them, ripping those monsters to shreds. Now the same people who were acting all tough are practically trembling, trying to figure out what the hell they just saw. Countless high-ranking monsters were erased in a single skill. The two of them are standing there ice cold. Someone finally asks how he pulled that off. Of course it's Seth, mad as hell, yelling for him to stop using those overpowered abilities. He was just about to shine, damn it. Shin simply walks ahead, saying he'll clear everything out himself. He's not their tour guide. Lamella says this place doesn't feel like a regular ruin. Lunav agrees, places like this don't usually have defense systems like that. You could tell the entire environment was held together by mana. As they venture deeper, the outer door slams shut behind them. The problem? The one in front of them isn't moving. Michael's over there trying to act like Mr. Robot, but nothing's working. None of his skills are hacking a damn thing. Karen tells him to move aside. His solution is always blow it up, but his lightning strike gets completely nullified. Now he's wondering if this place is sealed with some sort of suppressor. Seth just laughs at him, calling him a total idiot for saying that out loud while doing absolutely nothing. He calmly walks up, places his hand on the door, and it opens. He tells them to go on in, but no one seems to notice there's a giant monster right behind him. A minotaur is already snorting aggressively, and Shan points out there might be one of those things guarding each gate. Seth turns back and says, yep, and that's the fun part. He fires up a sand cannon, and its fists flying. With that, they continue on deeper into the dungeon. Not only are they running into monsters, but there are traps everywhere. They even encounter a creature made entirely of mana, something Shan has never seen before. And somehow, every door can be opened by Seth. After a while, someone wonders if the ruins are responding to his royal bloodline. Luna says that's likely. The Chaharkin family's family may have been the ones who built this place. He asks why she never told him that. She blushes and admits she only found out recently from some forbidden texts. She'd never hide something like that from him. She doesn't lie to the people she likes. Yeah, okay, gaslight queen over here. Not only did she lie straight to his face, but now she's trying to make it cute. Shameless. Shen just says he doesn't trust emotional attachments that don't make sense. So she says, all right then, and finally confesses. The Garen Association has been researching the sacred and demonic scriptures for a long time. They believe that the divine armor would help the kingdom flourish. To her grandfather, it was basically a religious belief. He thought the divine armor was necessary to achieve dominion over this world. Shen, however, disagrees. He says nothing good will ever come from that armor. Everyone around him would die just because of it. Lunav wants to know then why is he so interested in the demonic scriptures. Shan laughs and says his plan is to ruin them completely. Instead of waiting for someone else to come along and make a stupid plan with it, they'll just erase its existence entirely. That's when Lunav says she'll help. With a glowing little smile, she says she'll help him get the book and stay by his side. But Cheyenne sees her all radiant and cheerful and tells her to go to sleep and stop being annoying. She says she's not in the mood for sleep. He stands up and says goodbye, then starts wondering why all the girls in this kingdom act so weird. Meanwhile, that lunatic Karen, who the FBI seriously needs to arrest immediately, is burning up with jealousy in the background. That Lunav girl's like 12 years old, clearly. You, on the other hand? Yeah, no way you're that young. Finally, they're standing in front of the last gate. Seth says it's been a long time since he came this far. As he touches the wall, it begins to dissolve, and in the center of the room, there's a strange skeleton surrounded by a powerful aura. Obviously, that thing must be Lemeharam. Seth warns them to be careful. The skull didn't look anything like what the demonic scripture described. Karan says he'll go first since everyone else looks scared out of their minds. The moment he steps forward, the skeleton reacts. Luna warns him. There's a massive mana spike incoming. A shadow starts to form, and then the creature appears. A giant bafflement. Immediately, everyone's teleported to another space. Shan realizes the monster has the ability to create separate realms. Maybe this was the creature from the demonic scripture. The monster lunges in with its first attack, and Karen barely manages to dodge. He starts wondering how something that huge can even exist. He fires off a lightning bolt straight at the creature's head. It looks like a solid hit, even zoomed in with one-hand cam style. But of course, it doesn't leave a scratch. Cue the support squad all yelling, "We've got your back," just to accomplish absolutely nothing and look like three clowns. They throw a barrage of attacks that seem precise, and boom, the monster stumbles a bit. Luna freezes its feet, announcing she'll paralyze it, then calls for Lamella to finish the job. Lamella comes in from behind, using a light-based skill and slashing right at its neck. But the creature reacts, backhands her, and sends her flying. Right then, Seth steps in, slams a chunk of sand into the ground, triggering a tornado around the monster. He declares that Lemeharam better be ready, because after all this time, he's come back to finish where he started. The tornado rises, and in the distance, Luna spots Lamella smash into the ground. Oh no, please don't kill off the blonde. There aren't many girls over 18 in this story. Luna breathes a sigh of relief. At least she's not dead. But she feels something off. It seems like they can win, but at the same time, it all feels way too easy. Inside the whirlwind, the monster glares and cancels the ability. Both Sith and Cian were expecting that. The boss charges, Seth steps forward too, all serious, activating his sand cannon and bracing for the clash. But then here comes the Black Orb King activating Abscission. What is that? He doesn't even need to fight anymore. He just activates his skill and cuts the monster clean in half. The creature collapses to the ground, completely helpless. Even Lunav stands frozen, saying that was way too easy. Karen's just sitting there shaken again, wondering how the hell that boy handled the monster like it was nothing. He can't tell who the real monster in that room is anymore. For him, it's genuinely disturbing to see someone like Xian so close to Lunav. Oscar's about to ask if he's okay, but Xian turns around and tells him to worry about Lunav, not him. The three side characters are left standing there like, what did we do wrong? Back in the main room, the only thing left of the monster is the skeleton. Shane remarks that technically, it looks like they won. But where's the demonic scripture? And why was this so easy? Suddenly, the skeleton starts burning a blue flame. Shen immediately says, this isn't over. Spikes of energy shoot out from the ground. Mana pillars begin tearing the room apart. Lunav tells everyone to be careful, and Karen shouts at the girls to get out. Shin's trapped, surrounded, while the whole place begins crumbling. Looks like they got sealed inside some kind of stone chamber. Lamella instantly assumes the worst. She says Xian was strong, but it's a shame he died like this. Wow, she already buried the kid. Lunav, however, is confident, thankfully. She says she knows he's still alive, and asks for help clearing the rubble. Lamella hesitates, while Lunav's playing the badass, declaring the certainty that he's still in there. Girl, just start moving those rocks and quit the dramatic monologue. Meanwhile, our boy is staring at a waterfall. Whoa, dude ended up in a completely different realm with a dead monster stabbed by a spear the size of the moon and a giant demon standing in front of it. Looks like a Balro or something. The mana from this thing doesn't even compare to what he felt before. He tells Seth to get up. The things come back to life. But when he turns to the side, Seth's been straight up turned into charcoal. Did he actually die? Seriously. Didn't even dodge the hit. Must have been too much mana. Shen realizes this situation just got way more serious than he expected. The monster lets out a roar that shakes the entire place. Then Karam appears, saying this is perfect. Now she can finally show up, since no one will see them fighting in here. The Balrog makes a motion like it's telling him to come at it, which only pisses Shan off more. He says his mood was already trash. Charges in, activates Tempest of the Raging Mist. These names are getting ridiculous, and follows up with a flurry of attacks. Next thing you know, the thing's face planted into the ground. Seriously, no head. The creature still speaks, saying he's the first human to enter this place. And even though it's impressive, in the end the boy's going to die. Because killing it is nearly impossible. It can regenerate endlessly. But Shan just blows up its head mid-monologue by triggering a bunch of obsession skills. Then pulls Karam in, delivers another slash, and mid-attack he spots a core. The monster reforms again and says it's all useless. They'll keep regenerating and soon the kid will be too exhausted to continue. But Shan just raises his dagger and says, that's great news. I've been dying for a real fight. Now the Balrog is confused. Why isn't this lunatic even a little scared of an immortal creature? Meanwhile, outside the girls are still blasting spells at the rubble, but nothing's happening. Lamella says they'll be stuck doing this forever. It won't change anything. Lunav already knew. There's some kind of overwhelming energy protecting the area. They weren't going to break through this, not on their own. If only they had Seth with them, maybe it'd be possible. Right then, Karan shows up looking wrecked, saying he's glad she's okay. He tells her he remembers where the exit is, but of course she refuses. Karan warns the whole place could collapse and kill everyone, but Lunav says if Shan's in there, she's not leaving. If Karen's that worried, he can go. He argues there's no way Xian survived being crushed under all that. Honestly, I don't get why everyone's so scared of a few rocks. The guy fights demons, explodes stuff, survives dragons, and suddenly, 5 boulders drop and everyone thinks he's dead. Obviously, Karen's not happy about this. He starts yelling, asking why she's so obsessed with Xian Verte. Looks like she doesn't care about any of them. Yikes. Apparently Azra, Moore, and Kendall all died, and she really doesn't care. Dude, I barely even knew those characters existed. But Karen's furious because Lunav didn't react at all. He says he's going to take her out of there and save her, because unlike Xian Verte, he's been by her side for way longer. He even says that if she's going to fall for someone, it should be him. Nobody else in this world loves her as much as he does. Dude is dead serious, red in the face, saying it's fate. This guy's definitely not all there. Lunav claps back hard. It actually hurts to hear. She says she could accept Shin's obsession, but Karen's, that's something twisted. Poor Lamella even chuckles a little while Karen's turning beet red, saying he doesn't care if people laugh at his love. In the end, if he has to, he'll take her by force. Whoa, but Lamella points her sword and says he's gone way too far. I thought she'd be able to handle it, but nope, he just slammed her into the rocks. And then this bastard actually says she's getting bold for standing up to him like that. Dude hits her with electricity. Don't do that, man. Seriously, he just electrocuted her. The girl got fried. Oh my god, stop burning everyone, author. And right then, the weirdo turns to Lunav and says now it's just the two of them. Until suddenly, a voice tells him to stay right where he is. Karan, confused, asks who it is and demands they show themselves. The voice replies, fine, I'll show myself, but you're gonna pay the price for asking. Phew, Set's back still alive. He's totally wrecked, staring at the sun like he just got deep fried. He's wondering if he actually died and what the hell kind of attack that was from Lemharam. Then someone behind him says it's fine, he's not dead yet. Wait, who is that? My girl Cleopatra? All Egyptian looking, covered in tattoos, total badass. She tells him it's been a long time since she's seen him, the Hera Chaharkan. Steeg, still groggy, asks who this crazy woman is. The queen says it's okay if he doesn't remember, it's been ages. She saved him when he was on the brink of death. But what really interests her now is who he brought along this time. She says she'll have to borrow his body again, then boom, plants a kiss on him. Of course, he wakes up right beside Xian, who's swinging that 8-petal sword left and right, blazing mist cuts, slicing the chest, the gut, while the monster just keeps smiling. He spots the core, activates the void sphere, and this time slices it clean in half. The beast crumbles into sand, asking how he could lose to a human. But yeah, we all know that wasn't the real final boss. Most likely, the actual Lemeharem is that angry little Egyptian queen. My boy's got a sword that's a woman, a book that's a woman, a daughter, like 300 women around him. His whole life is women. He was out there punching the floor like, of course it's him. In the middle of the dusty ruins, Sin finds a page that looks like part of the demon's scripture. But turns out he came all this way for nothing. It just crumbles away. Seems like he still can't properly use Karam's powers because she's been recovering ever since that fight with Boris. He wonders why he's even still in this place if the demon's already dead. Then suddenly, he senses blood threads. Seth's coming up behind him. Shan instantly steps back, asking why he attacked. But he notices the man is different. So who is this person? Outside, someone says they weren't planning to step in, but it looks like he's about to hurt that kid. If the explanation's not good enough, he's getting killed. Okay then, now a demon shows up. Guess that's the real Lemeharem, not that Egyptian lady. Karen's already drawing his sword, but Lemeharem tells him to answer first. This guy's bold, thinks he has a chance, and charges. But the demon just raises his hand and says he's pathetic. His entire arm starts twisting. One finger snap and boom. Blows his arm clean off. Doesn't stop there, slams him into a wall. Then he summons a giant hand from nowhere and demands an answer. Karen can't even speak from the pain, and the creature just calls him pathetic again before finishing the job. Then the monster turns to Luna and asks, "What are the words?" Poor girl just says, "Thank you." I mean, what else could she say? Of course she wants to know, is this guy really Lemeharem? He steps closer and confirms it. He stares at her. Luna is completely confused, trying to figure out what this weirdo is thinking. Then he gets right up in her face and says now he understands. Her body's got a really unusual makeup. There's a kind of seal inside her heart and the mana that made it feels a lot like his own. That's why he felt something familiar about her. So now it's clear it's connected to that black-haired kid inside. When Luna hears this, she figures Shin must still be okay. And the monster wants to know why she seems so close to him. But she doesn't care about that. All she wants to know is he alright? Lemeharem tells her to relax. Right now, he's in the ruins having a conversation with the owner of this place. He glances over at Lamella but wonders if it's really okay to just let her die like that. Lunav, honestly, this girl doesn't seem to put much effort into saving anyone. She just says there's nothing she can do. She doesn't have any healing powers to help her. And that's it. Dead. But Lemeharem raises his hand and says there is one option. He tells her there's a condition in exchange, and if she agrees, he'll gladly share the truth. That part was kind of unclear, but meanwhile, Shan's dodging a storm of sand attacks. One nearly takes his head off. He manages to deflect it with his dagger. He's wondering if this crazy prince has gone way beyond human limits. Seth's watching from the sidelines, and yeah, Shan's really getting pushed hard. He just can't understand how someone could be that strong using sheer muscle. Then bam, he takes one to the ribs. We already know it's the Egyptian lady possessing the guy, all flirty and sending little heart signs like, "Gotcha." But seriously, can she go back to her own body already? Poor Shin can't catch a break. He's barely dodging anything now. Worst part is, Seth's flying around like some kind of anime boss. Then he lands and says it's time they cut to the chase, calling out to the hare. Shen's like, what the heck is he talking about? And right then, the Sanapophis attack comes flying in. That's when Karam speaks up, saying she was just trying to sleep. She appears and sets up a void surveillance. San hesitates, saying he was wondering when the hell she'd wake up. She's there with her arms crossed, saying she barely slept, and the second this ends, she's going right back to bed. Seth floats down and says it's been a while since they last met. Their last encounter was during the war between the gods and the demons. Kiram shoots back, telling Sabulum, the goddess of sand, to quit pretending to be her friend after attacking her master. But Sabulum shows the symbol on her chest and says it marks her servants. That's why she has to get involved. Besides, she's just having a little fun messing with the boy. Shan's not having it. He wants to know why the goddess of sand was guarding the demon scriptures. Sabulum explains she's just renting the place. The dungeon was built by the tribe she once served, and after the war between gods and demons, she allowed Lemeharem to take shelter there. All of it was to stop the divine armor from falling into the wrong hands. Now she wants to know, why is he here to get Lemeharem? And San, being straightforward, just says, there's a human I want to kill. I need the demon scriptures to do it. She asks if that's really all, and he nods. Yep, that's it. But if she tries to stop him, she'll be killed too. She laughs, saying it's hilarious to hear a human threaten to kill a goddess.